Alright, well, we can start to see a reaction occurring now. Definitely turning yellow. Hopefully it'll stay nice and yellow. We'll have a nice golden color. Pure gold is just beautiful in solution, even in small amounts. And if indeed we do start to take on an extra hue, brownish, greenish, whatever we end up getting, we'd have the option of precipitating the gold out again, filtering it, and doing another aqua regia dilution. But I can't think of the word I'm looking for. I guess I'm starting to get tired. But we could dissolve it one more time in aqua regia. I see we're starting to get a pretty good reaction. It's starting to heat up. I see some of those little particles popping out with the bubbles and settling to the floor, or to the bottom of the beaker, which is not how gold would typically react. It should be fizzing and fubbling, and I don't have high hopes at this point. I did for a moment, but we'll see. I'm out of my comfort zone. I thought I was getting back in it, but so far so good. It looks fine. The color's holding good, but I've had that happen too, where I've had impurities and the color will look great for a few minutes, and then all of a sudden, bam! It just floors out. Before you know it, you don't know what's going on. But so far so good. But I definitely do see particles that are coming out and not like being dissolved, you know. Guess maybe I'll just stop talking. We can take a closer look at it and just follow it for a few minutes. One more thing I am going to do is add some, not even a half a ml of sulfuric acid. Don't need much here. A little excess won't hurt, but that'll clear up any lead that fell through. I don't think there's a high level of it, but we want to make sure that's done. Stir it around a bit. Alright, we'll let it finish off. Well, we're getting down there. A little bit, another particle or two that we got to work our way through. I was just taking a look here at our frame. Now, the blue silver nitrate solution, that's not part of this necessarily. We can tie the two together from a previous experiment, but not this one. This is that rusty junk beaker that's been sitting in the lab for about 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, and now if you look at our other solutions, this was the original pour off that we had, and it goes from a dark golden color down to a very clear white, just clear at the very bottom. because I don't know exactly what that is that's floating towards the top. I'd like some chemists to help me out with that. But then our second major pour off was the dark green stuff in the back. That was when it was really black and nasty looking. We were able to separate everything from that, and of course this was just a little bit of rinse water, getting the last of that dark green solution out. So between these two, we pulled a lot of junk, a lot of the iron and silver. If we check out our filter that is off screen, that had a lot of mixed filter pulp mixed with iron particles and silver chlorides, which might have stole some of our other precious metals. So of course I'll be keeping that big nasty blob, and we'll process that down the road. But look at this gold; it is looking great. I'm so surprised. After we filter that old filter out, I gotta think of a better way to say that. But after we filter this, it'll clear up some. It'll look. I think we're gonna be surprised with how nice it's gonna look, especially compared to what we started with. I really didn't think that we were gonna get enough gold to even see color at this point. So I'm pretty happy. I think that it's gonna be worthwhile after all. But yeah, I see another particle still fighting to survive. So we'll give it a little bit more time, and we'll be moving on to the next step pretty soon to let it cool back down. I just put a fresh filter in our Buckner funnel here. And our gold solution here, our Aqua Regia, has cooled to room temperature. Has some good color in it. It's real hazy. After we filter this out, we should see a nice vibrant yellow, gold, orangish color. It gets brighter orange as the higher concentration of gold. This is probably going to look a little thin, but it does have some color in it. It has a certain neon glow when it's close to perfect. Oh, you're getting a good view of my hand, huh? Okay. I'll work these angles out over time. All right. Let that funnel through, and actually, heck, I think we're just going to put the vacuum on here. But the vacuum, I'm used to not doing that here after the last few things. Alright, I'll get the vacuum set up and we'll give that an assist. I'm going to pour this out, and what? I'm going to run it through this same filter one more time. I can see that it certainly cleared our solution, but it still has a bit of cloudiness here. I have to get the right grip. And a lot of times a second pass through the same filter does wonders. Sorry about the arm in the way. Get better at this. Cheers. It's a little tight right here. Nice. Yeah, excuses. Alright. So, our solution does look a lot better. It is definitely closer to what we want to see. There's not a lot of gold in there. It's a gram or so. I don't know exactly. It's hard to tell when it's in that powdered form. Sometimes you see it and you think, oh boy, I'm lucky to get a gram. And sometimes you're disappointed. Sometimes you're pleasantly surprised by a little bit. But enough chit chat. Let's run this through one more time. The second pass through the filter, a lot of times the filter becomes clogged with all the little particles, and the second pass has to pass through the clog and the extra particles, and sometimes that just gives it a bit of an extra filtration. Alright, and after this pass we will drop our gold again. Alright, I got this all filtered out. I'm going to set this aside for the moment. Our solution looks much nicer. Still a bit of haze to it, but it's very thin. It's a 200 mLs of solution, what, a gram approximately of gold. We'll have one more filtration after we precipitate the gold out of here. Pretty cold. I don't know if it's a temperature thing, but definitely still a little hazy. But let's see what we get out of there. Have some SMB here. This is a large amount of gold in solution. This is with the MSB, SMB, sodium metabisulfite. It is an exothermic reaction, so if there was a lot of gold in here, I'd really want to concentrate on making sure that this solution is cold, either with ice or it gets really cold in this booth when I close the door, so this time of year. right now the solution is about 55 degrees, so don't have much to worry about. And it's such a small amount of gold, not going to be much of a reaction. We're seeing the gold drop out of solution. I think that about did it. Yeah, you can see when the bubbles start coming up white, they're not frothy, they're actually just well-formed bubbles. Let me shoot a little bit more sample, I don't want to waste it. And they come up white because the solution's clear instead of being yellow, that is. If gold's still in the solution, especially if it's a higher quantity of gold, you can see right in the top layer whether there's gold in solution usually. And you know what I didn't do on camera is I didn't do a stannous chloride test. That's a must. I'm gonna turn this fan up here. Can't catch any of this stuff. Sorry about the noise, but lungs are important. Alright, but now we should do a stannous chloride test. Done a couple off camera here. And I was going to do an on camera right before we did that. I regret it. Who knows, maybe we'll still detect some gold here and drop a little more SMB in it. I do not think so, but we'll see. We indeed have dropped the gold from solution. I'm anxious to see what the yield's going to be off of this thing. I'm already pleasantly surprised. It's definitely more than I thought it was going to be. It's very light right now. It's a lot cleaner now than it was on that first pass. Before we had a ton of it clotted up and floating funny. It was just weird and ugly. This looks a lot better. Alright, I'm going to give this a little bit of time to settle, but in the meantime I'm going to get a filter ready and I'm going to start pouring this off. It's not a lot, so I can burn through this really quick. But if this was a good amount of gold and you don't want to waste too much time filtering, stop here, let it settle for 12 hours, 24 hours. Come back and decant the upper solution and then just filter the bottom. Filter your gold in the solution mixed with that. Anyhow, alright, I'm going to go get a filter ready. See you in a minute.
There's our gold. Doesn't look like much now. It's gonna look even less real soon. It's throughout in the paper. I don't know, there's definitely more in there than I suspected we were going to have. So I'm going to pull this out and get it into this melt dish here. This towel, soak up some of that moisture that's just sitting there. I just turned the heat on, so this is going to warm up. And I'm just going to let this steam off, dry up before I hit it with the torch. I could just take it over to the torch and just heat it up with the torch. Not so much so I burn the paper or anything, but just start to get it warmed up. And it's pretty quick doing it that way too. I'm gonna give it a few minutes right here just to preheat, and then I'll finish it off with the torch, and then we'll melt it into a button. I was gonna say shot, but I think we'll be lucky to get a button out of this. It's holding together real strong. I think I'm gonna. Yeah. Alright then. I'll cut back when it's all dried up. Alright, we pretty much have our golden filter dried out. There's a bit of moisture to it yet, so I am gonna hit it with the torch and just give it a preheating.
Yeah, it's pretty dry. Let that warm up, and we'll get our fan going here. If you leave moisture trapped in that filter, it can pop on you, spit stuff out. You'd hate to spit your gold out, you know. And there's still a little moisture in there. So when I do fire the torch back up, I am going to work around it for a little bit. Try to really get the crucible hot, or the melt dish hot, and let the gold get the heat through that instead of from the torch directly. Alright, I think we should just keep going here. Once I get this warm enough, I'm going to sprinkle a little borax over it. If I put the borax on first and then hit it with the torch, it just blows all over the place. But if I heat it up a little bit better, or a little bit, get it so when I sprinkle the borax on it, it melts right away, clings to it, less blows back off. So you'll see me do that, but I'll still have some get cast away. But let's see what we got in there. That borax just kind of holds that paper together, gives a little bit more time for the gold molecules to melt and bind. They are so heavy and so thin at that level that they melt and drop pretty quick before the paper has a chance to really ignite. I wonder if this would help at all. I need just a little more heat. Our little button. It is, whoop, that's crazy. A little piece of borax just cracked off. Once you put it in the water, it freezes so fast, it puts some tension on it sometimes. And it makes it easy to just kind of pick off. That one just exploded. Yeah, a little bit bigger than I was thinking. Pretty close to a gram. I'm not good at guessing these little weights here. Put it right here for now. I'm gonna get the scale ready. What we have here, it's set for grams. What do you think? Think we'll get a whole gram out of it? A little bit more maybe? $1.15. Hey, alright, that made it worth doing. That made it worth doing, that's great. Definitely covered the material. What a waste that would have been just to say to junk it, just because if you recall how we started that rusty vessel full of orangish brown mud mixed with some what looked like very light foils from gold-plated material, gold-plated jewelry. Alright, so hey, we ended up with about a gram of gold out of that. Not too bad. I'm gonna actually, with my next batch, that I run, I'm going to in-quart this gold within that batch and refine it one more time. We started with something that was kind of wild, and without doing the research yet to see exactly what I did, I don't know. It came out pretty clean. This button looks great. I'm sure it would test out just fine, but just to make sure, we'll just run it through again. All right. Well, there it is. 1.13 was it? Something like that. So just about a gram of gold out of that nasty little waste pail that's been sitting around for the last couple of weeks. I got one or two more things like that. Maybe it'd be worth doing the rest of them too. Alright, hope you liked this video. If you did, hit the thumbs up button for me. Subscribe if you're not already. I'd really appreciate it. I'm Jeff, and this is Lithic Metals. I'll catch you next time.